down 81% in 2022. Is Unity Software stock a buy for 2023? I'm going to answer that question in this video, so stay tuned. As you see here, Unity stock has had a very difficult year in 2022. It recently, however, got a nice little bump in November after the acquisition of IronSource closed. However, it's given up a lot of those gains since then, but it had a good bounce up when investors felt better that the acquisition of IronSource closed. Of course, IronSource is going to help Unity monetize digital advertising because that's the area it had difficulty in 2022. Looking at Unity's revenue growth, you could see very nice upward growth here, ended in 322.88 million, but we don't have very much history going back only until 2020. It's a young company. It's one of the leading 3D development online digital tools that exist today, but it's still in the earlier growth stages. And checking in with its cash flow from operations, you see consistent negative cash flows from operations. It had one quarter where it was positive, but for its history, it's been negative cash flow from operations. That's a troubling sign, especially for a tech stock, because as you might already know, tech companies like to pay their employees. They like to use a lot of stock-based compensation, which is a non-cash expense, which allows tech companies to deliver positive cash flows from operations even though they're not profitable on the bottom line. That's not the case for Unity stock. And as with companies that do pay a lot of stock-based compensation, what you see is a lot more diluted shares outstanding, which dilutes existing shareholders, meaning that, if you were going to earn $1 earnings per share from a company, if they were to double their shareholder base, now you're only going to get 50 cents earnings per share on the same level of earnings. So all things considered, investors do not like to see shareholder dilution, which Unity has not been abusing too aggressively. You can see their share count here fluctuating for several reasons. They issued some shares for the acquisition of IronSource and the IPO and all that, and so they ended with 299 million shares outstanding, and from a little less than 240 million shares outstanding in 2020. All right, finally, I want to look at Unity's valuation. And since they're not consistently profitable on the bottom line or generating free cash flows consistently on the bottom line, I chose to use the price to sales ratio. And at a price to sales of 6.2, this is just about the cheapest you've been able to buy Unity software stock for. It used to trade at a price to sales over 45, so it's way below its peak valuation. I would argue it should never have gotten to be this high, but a price to sales of 6.2 on its own, it's not cheap, right? Your price to sales, this isn't price to earnings or price to free cash flow. Price to earnings of 6 would have been nice. Price to free cash flow would have been really cheap at 6.2, but that's you're not really going to find a tech stock with this kind of growth at that kind of valuation. Still, 6.2 is a little expensive for a company that's facing the kind of headwinds that Unity Software is facing, considering that it's got headwinds in the advertising space. Digital advertising is facing pressure. I follow companies like Meta Platforms, Snapchat, Alphabet. They're all reporting difficulties, and some of them reporting declining ad revenue year-over-year basis as marketers are pulling back spending because they're not certain how economies are going to evolve in 2023. Some are fearing a recession, some think it's going to be severe, and so they're turning cautious and saying, all right, let's pull back, let's reduce our spending, and let's wait. Let's see how the economy evolves, and then we can ramp up advertising again. So 2023 is not going to be a good year. It's not going to be a robust year for those companies that rely on advertising revenue. So to answer the question, is Unity Software stock a buy for 2023? I'm going to say no, the stock is not a buy for 2023. I would wait for a few more quarters. For one, I want to see how it digests the Iron Source acquisition, and two, I want to see how the advertising industry spending levels contract or stay flat in the first quarter or two of 2023. All right, so if you're thinking about investing in Unity stock, I would be patient. I would wait for a quarter or two. All right, that's all I've got for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.